Hi, good evening. I'm Stephen Brown, and this is the video edition of my blog, Rants and Raves, which has run for more than 10 years over at stephenwbrown.com. Stephen with a PH, Brown with an E. So, this episode is entitled, What the Heck Just Happened? Well, what did just happen? First of all, we know that a career politician with decades of experience, time in the White House, time in the Department of State, a huge, as in huge, war chest, and a lot of very experienced advisors just got creamed by a reality TV show host. Let's not quibble about the creamed. I know about the popular vote. Trump won the heartland. Body and soul, he won it there. The popular vote there was a difference of about 0.1% on election night before I went to sleep. Since then, it's fluctuated. There are claims and counterclaims, voter suppression, electoral fraud, that sort of thing. I found an interesting little factoid that I didn't know before, was that if the difference in the vote in any given state is greater than the number of electoral votes cast, they don't bother to count the the absentee ballots, because it's not going to make a difference and it's costly and time consuming. It's probably going to be in the 1% range either way at the very most. So, and given the disparity of resources, why did this happen at all? Alright, so permission to divide the question. Why did Hillary lose? Why did Trump win? Why did Hillary lose? Well, first of all, let's consider the makeup of the electorate. I see four groups there. There are people in the middle who, and remember that only 54% of the eligible voters actually did. There's people in the middle. There are those that held their nose and said, oh my God, the choice is terrible, but Hillary's better than Trump. And then there are the people, of course, that said, oh my God, the choice is terrible, but we got to hold their nose, and Trump is better than Hillary. Now, some of them are wrong, whoever you think it is, but both of them are sane. Now, then you have the people on the fringes. There are those who said that Hillary is cruelly maligned and the victim of a 30-year campaign of slander, and she's a saint. She's a saint, a veritable saint. And then there are those who say Trump was anointed by God and he's going to fix everything with a wave of his hand. Neither of them are. But these folks over here were really, really scary to the electorate. The people who think Hillary is a saint are the kind of people who can ignore a mountain of evidence that Helen Keller could read from beyond the grave, that Hillary is corrupt to the core, she's thoroughly unlikable, she's a serial liar, she's taken money from foreign powers who, to say the least, do not have our best interests at heart. She is criminally careless about national security. What we suspect is worse than that, but we won't go into that because then you get called a tinfoil hat conspiracy theorist. These people are still at it. They're rioting in the street. They're calling for the Electoral College to reverse the election, basically. And they're hateful. They don't have arguments. What they do is sling insults. You're a racist. You're a bigot. You're a sexist. Well, gee whiz. Did you ever think, as has been pointed out by better men than me, that the vast majority of people out in America there are damn sick and tired of hearing that? Furthermore, it's been a reign of terror about this. An accusation of racism can end a career, supported or not. So, people sick of that stuff, people revolting against it. This was a slap in the face to every insult they've ever felt. And may I point out something to you? Racism, the charge of racism, is felt as an insult only by those who are not racists. Every racist I've ever known has been quite proud he's a racist, will freely admit to being a racist. This is a big reason why Hillary lost, and we've been telling you this. A lot of us have been telling you this for quite some time. Get an argument, for God's sake. Support your policies with arguments, not insults. Now, why did Trump win? Is it not evident by now that Trump has been planning this for quite some time, probably decades? This was not an accident, it was not a fluke. At some point in the past, Trump did a SWOT analysis: strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats, and that he did a realistic assessment of his weaknesses. The fact that his brassy, brash personality comes across and grates people. It certainly grates me. I have never liked Trump ever since I saw him diss his first old lady on a TV interview over a question which, come to think of it, was about whether he'd ever run for president. I myself voted for Gary Johnson. Now, I voted for Johnson not with any illusion that he was going to win or even get any electoral votes. I voted for him because I believe the third party movement should be encouraged, because the two-party system is in deep shit trouble. Now, I knew also that it wasn't going to be Johnson, it shouldn't really be Trump, but it, by God, can't be Hillary. Trump saw this. He saw what his personality does, but he saw his strengths also. He's in show business. Back years ago when he first went into show business, I thought, hey, maybe he's found his niche. Because to me he comes across as an insecure, narcissistic bombast. A guy whose braggadocio covers screaming insecurity. Well, I thought, good for him. Now he's found a place where people like him belong. Show business. And just recently I remembered an old remark of Ronald Reagan's, that he did not see how anybody could be a successful politician without some show business background, because show business is about communicating stuff, and it's about communicating things which go beyond issues, which go to people's gut feelings and such. Now, there's something else I would really like to tell you there. If I am correct, and Trump in fact had a plan that he has worked on for quite some time. He made a brief run at the Reform Party nomination some years ago. Flash in the pan. He saw the opportunity. Traditionally, for the past several election cycles, Democrats nominated somebody who couldn't win, and then the Republicans nominated somebody who couldn't beat him. It's almost like that's been reversed now. Trump blew past 16 more experienced, better qualified candidates to secure the nomination, and then he trounced Hillary. He trounced Hillary so thoroughly and so subtly that they did not even realize it right up until election night. It wasn't a matter of, Bush versus Kerry. Remember, Kerry was quoted as saying, "I can't believe I'm losing to this moron." He knew he was losing a while before. Hillary thought she was winning right up to the last minute. The polls, she had the media on her side, she had the academic establishment on her side, she had a huge echo chamber saying she's gonna win, she's gonna win, she's gonna win. Guess what? She didn't win. Alright, so why? And why did Trump win, and why is this going to reshape politics for a while? It's certainly going to reshape the Republican Party if it survives. It may not. Maybe people are wrong, and maybe it's not the Democratic Party that's in disarray, that it's the Republican Party, because someone the whole Republican establishment was against just blew right in and won it against their opposition. There were, in fact, insurrections in both parties. There was the Sanders insurrection in the Democratic Party. Now, would Sanders have won? Who knows? I think he was kind of an amiable ass myself, and had no real understanding of economics, public policy, or anything like that. But that's me. That's my opinion. Perhaps he could have won because a lot of people liked him. The Democratic establishment stole the nomination from him, spanked him, and sent him home and told him to be a good boy, perhaps or else. And he was a good boy. He rolled over, and he played nicey-nicey, and he endorsed Hillary. Now, some of his followers quit in disgust. A lot of them rolled over. They rolled over and they went, okay, Hillary, 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 i.e. they licked the boot that kicks them. And I have to ask, how can anyone respect that? Come on. What is it about Trump that went beyond all of his personality defects, his somewhat scandalous history, things like the remarks caught on tape, everything like that, the fact that he's a womanizer, in fact that he acts rather like JFK and Bill Clinton, except that Bill evidently has a problem taking no for an answer, and the evidence seems to suggest that Trump can take no for an answer. Well, he fights. Boom. It might be just that simple. He fights. The nomination could have gone to anyone who fights, because what were the last couple of Republican candidates? Romney and McCain. They fought like sick nuns. Obama said there are certain subjects which are off limits, and McCain said, yes, sir. When Romney was plainly winning a point in the debate, Candy Crowley jumped in and took over debating for Obama. Remember when Candy Crowley jumped in and Obama sat back and said, you tell him, Candy? A man with an ounce of spine would have gotten up with his dignity intact and walked out and said, excuse me, I'll come back when there's a debate. But he didn't. He rolled over because, like I say, Republicans traditionally fight like sick nuns. Well, Trump fought. For all his personal flaws, he fought, and an awful lot of people who saw him as a deeply flawed man nonetheless rallied around him because he fights. As there's a story that during the Civil War that people came to Lincoln and complained that Grant was a drunkard and a lout, and Lincoln said, I cannot do without this general. He fights. Trump saw his opportunity. He saw when there was a seriously unlikable, seriously flawed candidate who could be beaten by someone who fights. Now, if you accept my premise that Trump has had a plan for this all along, one has to wonder, if he had a plan for winning, does he have a plan for governing? Now, this was a remarkably issue-free campaign. It was about personalities and insults and such. Now, so does he have one? Well, late in the campaign, he released the 28-point plan, and looking it over, I was somewhat surprised. I found little that was really objectionable. I found quite a bit to like about it, and significantly, I found a couple 3 points that I think a lot of left-wingers would like if they can get over where it comes from. So, does Trump have a plan for governing? We'll see, won't we? We most assuredly will see. Thank you very much, and good evening.